First of all, that agency running your ads on a separate account and billing you for it is one of the biggest red flags ever. That's, if anyone ever pitches that to you. It's day 6 of me starting from scratch. New agency, 0 revenue, new city, and just taking behind the scenes on everything that I do, how I'm trying to grow them. I've got no followers, so it is literally starting from scratch, and I'm just trying to leverage what I have at my disposal to be able to not only grow the agency as quickly as I can, but simultaneously grow my personal brands, because I think they work hand in hand. I obviously have some existing clients that we still work with, and we still scale and grow, so a lot of my time is taken up working with them, but just putting in massive days at the moment trying to do both of these at the same time, and obviously film everything that I do and show an unfiltered kind of review of what's happening. So it's Monday morning, been to the gym, took Rex for a walk, breakfast, all the usual kind of jam of the morning routine, and now I've got a fair bit of client work to do this morning, existing client work, but I'm just going to show you how that process works anyway, what we kind of do with them. This particular client that I'm about to speak to, I've been working on revamping their flows from their email flows. So a lot of misalignment on their branding, a lot of misalignment on the messaging, a lot of misalignment on not misalignment, but a lot of missed opportunities, and ways that they could optimize it. So there's nothing fancy that I do. I just kind of dump all my thoughts out onto a doc, like a Google Doc. If I don't want to waste my time presenting fancy slides or presentations. It's not going to help me actually do the work or for them to grow their business anyway. So pretty much I dump all my thoughts onto a Google Doc. I present it to them, get approval to make some of the changes. I will assign some of the changes back to them that they have to handle as well, because we're not just doing the work for them. It's about educating the founders and equipping them with the tools and the knowledge to actually go and run the business themselves. We're advisory first with a little bit of execution, and it can become a grey area sometimes, and it does cause some headaches with some founders who probably expect too much or are unclear of who's responsible for what. So that's a work in progress in terms of mapping out what we deliver and how we do it. But at the end of the day, my goal is to just make sure that these founders are in a better position than when they started, and they are getting what they need from me and the team to be able to scale the business. So that is always the number one rule and the number one goal, regardless of the situation. But yeah, so client calls, do a little bit of work, onboarded someone on Friday. So we have one client that we've actually signed since I've started this video series, which is awesome. It's a good start. Ideally, I'd like to get to maybe like 10 new clients, give or take. We've got one. I'm really going to try and push to see how quickly we can get to that 10 mark. So a lot of that comes back to the ads that I'm writing, the scripts that I'm filming, the content that I'm putting out every day. There's so many moving parts, but we're working as quick as we can to achieve that goal. So it is working now. It's tracking the way it should. You can go into Clarity and see all the heat maps and everything that we want to see. So
September, October, November, we're leading up to Black Friday, and obviously our busiest time is November, October, November, end of October, a couple of Novembers. So we've got to probably start now thinking about our strategy for Black Friday.
Yeah, that's probably some stuff you'd want to implement like 30 days after purchase is, hey Greg, we'd love to just get your thoughts on the product. We're a small business. We are trying to achieve XYZ with our customers and the kids that use it.
start running that alongside what is running on a low budget for you, I say. See how it performs. Once it starts to overperform or we get it to...
Alright, so I had a shocking morning to start, to be honest. Just not feeling it. Just getting slammed by some of the stuff we're working on at the moment, so it's just really tough being client facing sometimes. You know, at the end of the day, you got to do everything you can to please them and make sure that they're comfortable with what you're doing. So I put myself back in, you know, their shoes or my shoes when I had businesses and I was running brands, and you don't just pay someone for them to just hang out, or, you know, for you to think they're hanging out, and at the end of the month they show you all this progress, like, because, you know, there's 3 weeks leading up to it, you're just thinking, what the fuck is this person doing? So that's on us, and, you know, that's just we definitely need to just improve in that and just make sure that they understand. We show progress and we show them updates every week, because then it just gives an open line of communication, and it saves us from having to go back and go, well, actually we've done all this work, you know, actually we've done all these updates. So communication is the key, and the only takeaway I'm taking from this. Yes, it sucks getting slammed by clients, and yes, it sucks dealing with that from time to time, but as I said, it's part of the business, and it's something that I just have to suck up and deal with. So I just had a guy message me in my DMs before asking me, like, I don't know, he was a little bit combative in terms of like, why don't all you gurus only target brands doing above $20,000 per month? And I just explained to him, I was like, look, it's not just as black and white as that. Sometimes we work with smaller brands, sometimes we work with startups, but typically, and I'm not saying this is for every case, but typically if a brand's doing less than $20,000 a month in revenue, the founder may be doing it as a side project, or they may be just not really putting that much attention into it, or they just don't have enough revenue to support paying someone like myself and ecom brands to come in and actually help them grow. Like, that's also a massive part of it, is they just don't have the money to afford any sort of work. They have to do it themselves, you know. Like, at that stage you should really be able to just manage everything yourself and scale the business, because you should have some basic level of competency. So, you know, we went back and forth on DMs before on Instagram, and I just kind of said, like, look, these are my reasons why we typically don't work with brands like that size. We're looking for people that obviously suit us, not only that we suit them. So he was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, you know, he appreciated the explanation. And I just said, look, if you want to have a chat, happy to. So he's booked a call for a couple hours time. In the meantime, I'm actually going to film 2 YouTube videos, going to smash them out, try and edit them at the same time. So it's only the intros are going to be face to cam. Rest of it is the slides that you saw me working on yesterday. And just to recap, these are incredibly deep value driven pieces of content that I'm just giving out there for free. The more I can give away for free, the more transparency I can show, the more information that I can just provide. I know at some point I'll reach a tipping point where people will go, shit, this is really good content, like, this guy knows his stuff, I'll share it, I'll talk to him, I'll do whatever it is, I'll engage with his content. So until I get to that point where people actually do that, just gotta keep grinding it out and just keep putting content out there, and hopefully something pops. So it's depressing sometimes, and it's tough. It just gets you down every now and then when you post something, you put a lot of effort into it and no one likes it, but it's what it is. Hopefully I'll look back in a year's time once I've done this every day, and it'll be a little bit easier. Still won't be a walk in the park, but maybe some people will like my stuff by then, so we'll see what happens. Just keep grinding it out. That's all I can really do at the moment. That's the only piece of value I have right now, is communication, and just keep grinding it out until something works. So yeah, I'm gonna smash out these 2 now. I'll film a little bit behind the scenes, but I'll show you the actual finished products. I think that's a better thing to show. I've already showed you how I made the slides, my thought process behind them. Now I'm actually just gonna film them, edit them, finished filming the first video. A little bit dry, actually. Now that I've read through it a couple times and filmed it, didn't love it, but I'm gonna launch it anyway, and kind of work off this as a starting point. I just think there's no point in me refilming it, rewriting it. It's a good starting point. It's not amazing, but I'd rather work quickly, launch, iterate. It's kind of how I roll. So whether it's right or wrong, don't know, but I'd rather get some traction and then invest a bit more time and redo it, and maybe even add some more case studies and a little bit more meat to the bone. I think would be really valuable. But honestly, my process, just so you can see, was I had the script open on Google Docs. I've got obviously my presentation there that I did, and then I just used voice notes, and I set up the mic, like I set up the proper mic this time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I filmed the introduction face to cam, and then I'm just gonna cut all of this together. So it actually shouldn't take that long to edit, but we'll see how it looks, and I'll show you the finished product once it's done. Hey, how you going?
You know, mate, how are you?
Good. Sorry about the confusion there before.
No, that's all right. I found the thing too. I just sent you a message, but it was in junk mail.
Ah, easy. No worries. How are you going?
You off a different profile this morning. We have another company, but like it's literally runs on autopilot, and literally work about 7 hours a week on it. It's a fitness equipment manufacturing company, so we literally just go to the warehouse once a day and ship out an order or two.
Is that the one you messaged me from this morning?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I thought I was messaging you from my private one. I didn't really refine it and drop different ranges and put money in over time, where that was the plan, I guess. But then we started off a bit heavy, putting a lot of money into it, and we've kind of worked out all the back end in terms of you know, organising things at the warehouse and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, run away as fast as you can. That's just an absolute no-no. And you know, but you are fighting for attention, and you are fighting for, you know, actionable advice on your brand and your specific issues that you face. So there is a little bit of a disconnect there in terms of the service that they provide and what actually people can take out of it. So on a pulse, and depending on, I guess, the level of involvement that you want us to have, you know, that obviously reflects in the retainer that we set, and also what the business needs as well. So to give you some context, we work with a couple of brands on like
down that rabbit hole of doing shit you never wanted to do. Like, you know,
Yeah.
No one dreamed.
You too. Bye. Oh, all right. Actually went pretty well. Unfortunately, just another pre-revenue brand though, so we have to be very mindful of how we offer the service and the very clear expectations that we set. The best thing we can do from our perspective, you know, from my perspective, and also from the founder's perspective, is give them the tools that they need to succeed. So give them all the frameworks, all the processes, and everything that's tailored to their business for them to take and implement. As I just said to him on the call before, the worst thing that can happen is he thinks we're just going to come in and take over his ad account, take over his business, and he's going to see a gold rush overnight. Like, that is just unrealistic, and it's not going to happen like that, because there is no revenue, so there is no traction. If he was doing $100,000 a month and we could come in and make some instant adjustments or improvements, they may, or you know, they pretty much, you can guarantee they may see an increase in revenue, or an increase in conversion rate, or whatever it is, increase in profitability. But when you're starting from zero, it's impossible to promise someone instant success. So I thought I handled it pretty well. It was just very clear. Look, this is where you're at. This is how we can help you. I gave him two options in terms of retainers, so like $3,500 or a $2,750, which would just be purely, I guess, monthly advice with some touch points once a week, once a fortnight. So yeah, went pretty well all in all. I'm pretty happy with that call so far. set a meeting. It was really important to set the second meeting. So he said he wanted to chat later in the week. So you just jump on your calendar straight away, set the meeting then and there. So now what I'll actually show you is, because I know I mentioned the other day, but I'll show you the process of how I follow up with any leads, especially when I have calls like that. It's super important to get everything in writing while it's still fresh. So I'm just going to do that now. I'll film the Loom in a minute and just show you how I do it. Just in the process of sending the email recap, it's really important that you touch base with them as soon as possible and just recap everything you spoke about, everything you discussed, so that there's no confusion. But my process for doing that, which I think is really important, not a lot of people do, is I use a program called Otter AI, so OTTER, and it joins every one of your video calls. It records it. It makes a summary of it. It has the whole transcript. So I pretty much just go into the conversation, go to the transcript, copy and paste the whole thing, drag it across to ChatGPT, tell it to use the framework of like a email recap, whatever it is that I'm doing at the time. So I've got a couple of frameworks that I tell it to use. It spits that out. I'll go back and forth, make sure it's all beefed out the way I want it to, make sure everything's spelt the right way, everything's structured the right way, copy and paste it over to email, edit anything that needs to be done, make it more personalized if I need to, because I don't want it to be obvious that it's just copy and pasted, and then just send it. So it takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You look really organized, you look super on the ball, and it also is just a really good touch point for me to remember any conversation I had. So that's how I do everything at the moment. I've actually started doing it for pretty much every video call I have. You can integrate it with Slack as well, so it is awesome, and I use it every day, and everyone else should use it as well because it saves you so much time. But all in all, as I said, really good call, quite confident again, but who knows, can be the most confident person in the world and never get any sales. So that's pretty much it. I've got a fair bit of content to actually knock out, so got to really pick up my LinkedIn content and get some stuff posted on YouTube and Instagram. So I'm going to do that now for the next couple of hours, and that's it. Yeah.
Conversation, but not really actionable.
Fair enough.
She could be pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a video that says in preparation for the meeting,